Hello friends, welcome back to Paul's School of Music, lesson number 3, and we hope you will be informed a little bit on the piano. And we're going to be talking about the chords in the key of C, diatonic chords in the key of C. As we mentioned earlier, talking about the scales, we're going to use C scale because it has no sharps or flats, so we can describe how these chords work with the key of C. And there are 7 notes in the music scale: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then back to C, which is called an octave, the 8th note from the root note, which is C, which is also the key signature that we're talking about. So the first chord you see here starts at middle C, and the 3 dots there, that is called C major, the C major triad, and that consists of C, C, E, and G. And it sounds like this: the key of C, C major, C major. The next note is called D minor, and that consists of D, D and F and A, and that's called D minor. The next note, as you see the 3 dots, is called E minor, and the note to the left is E, G, and B, and that's called E minor, and it sounds like this. And D minor sounds like this. The next note up, which is a key of F major, consists of F, A, and C. That is the F major chord, and it sounds like this. The next note, the next chord is G major. G major. And it is the 5th tone from the key signature of C. It's called G major, and that sounds like this. The next chord in the C scale is A, C, and E, and that is A minor. That's called A minor. The 2nd tone is flatted to create a minor, and that would be A, C, and E, and it's called C minor, and it sounds like this. And the last of the 7 tones in the C scale is called B diminished. B diminished, that means the 3rd and 5th tone are flatted. And the notes are B, D, and F. And that is called the B diminished scale in the key of C, and it sounds like this. So that is the 7 tones in the C scale, so I will play all 7 chords in the key of C scale, and this is how it sounds. This is C major chord. 2nd note is D minor chord. The 3rd tone of the C scale is E minor chord. And the next note in the C scale is F major chord. This is a F major chord. The next note is G major. Is G major chord, and it sounds like this. And the sixth tone of the C scale is A minor chord. A minor chord. And the last of the 7 tones in the C scale is B diminished. B diminished. So playing them consecutively, it's like this. And the next part of the lesson, we're going to talk about chord progressions. Some people may not understand what chord progressions mean, but most simple songs require 3 chord changes in the key signature that the music is played. And the 3 chords we're talking about is the 1, the 4, and the 5th of the scale. Is the chord. The first chord is a C chord, which is the 1 chord, and then the 4th chord is the key of F, and then of course the last chord is G7, and it sounds like this. It's a G dominant chord. So the 3 changes to the key of C would be C, and usually on a simple song that requires those 3 chords is all you need to play a simple song. But if it gets to be more complex, then you have to add the 6th tone, which is A minor, and that is called the relative minor key of that key signature, which is in the key of C. And this works pretty much the same for all the other 11 keys you can play in. You can play in up to 12 different keys on the piano or any other instrument. But in those different keys you have sharps and flats. For instance, the key of C has no sharps and flats. It's all white notes. The key of D has 2 sharps, C sharp and F sharp. So when you play the D scale, every time you come to C or F, it's sharp. So it would be C sharp and F sharp. And in the key of E, there are 4 sharps in the key of E, and that's F, C, G, and D sharps. That's the sharps in the key of E, 4 sharps. And then in the key of F, there is only 1 black note, which is B flat. B flat is in the F scale. You play 1 black note, which is B flat, and the others are white notes. And in the key of G, you have 1 sharp, F sharp. And when you play the G scale, you have to sharp the F, key of F. It's F sharp. And in the key of A, it has 3 sharps, and those are F, C, and G. So F, C, and G notes in the key of A are sharps, which is a black note. Then when you get to the key of B, there are 5 sharps, F, C, G, and D sharp. So you play 5 black notes in the key of B. So anytime you're playing the B scale, 5 of those notes in the 7-note scale will be sharps. And then when you go to the flats, which in the key of B flat, there are 3 flats, B, E, and A. So when you play the scale of B flat, you have to use B, E, A are the 3 flats in the key of E flat. And the key of A flat has 4 flats. It's B, E, A, D. and those B-E-A-D. So anytime you play a note B or an E or an A or a D, it's a flatted black note, and that's what makes up your A flat scale. Your D flat scale has 5 flats: B, E, A, D, and G. So all of those notes in the 7-note scale of D flat are black notes, and there's only 2 white notes that you play in the key of D flat. In the key of G flat, there are 6 flats. The key of G flat has B, E, A, D, G, and F. And so all of those are black notes except for 1. So anyway, that's the way the keys work there. And back to the chord progressions, I'm trying to say, which another term means the chord changes in a song that's required to complete a song. So in other words, a basic song has 3 chord progressions. For example, in the key of C, your 3 chord progressions would be 1, 4, and 5 notes of the tone, which are chords. And those are the 3 changes you have to use to play a basic song in the key of C. We're only discussing the key of C right now for the simplicity that it has no sharps or flats. So anyway, that kind of explains that. Some more complex songs have 4 different changes, and when 4 chord changes are required to complete the song, that would be your relative minor key, which is the 6th tone of the music scale. So that would be in the key of C. That would be A minor. A minor would be the relative minor key for the key of C. And then the second minor key, if required to play a more complex song, would be the 2nd note of the scale, which would be D, and that would be played as a D minor. And then even more difficult songs, you might require 3 or 4 different minor chords. So the next one would be E minor, and so that would be your next minor key. And then you might have to go as far as a diminished chord, and a diminished chord, which is the 7th tone of the scale that you're playing in, and a diminished chord is the 3rd tone and 5th tone are flatted, and that creates a diminished chord. Normally a chord is 1, 3, 5 of the tone, but the diminished chord means that the 3rd tone and the 5th tone are flatted. And last of all, the augmented chord. I'll tell you what the augmented chord. It's usually shown as AUG on a piece of music. It means augmented, and an augmented chord is the 3 tones with the 5th tone sharped. The 5th tone of the chord is a sharp. So, for instance, the chord of C, which is normally 1, 3, and 5, which would be C, E, and G. But if it became an augmented chord, it would be 1, 3, and G sharp. So the 5th tone would be a sharp, and that would create an augmented tone, and I will show you what that sounds like here. That's an augmented chord. Kind of sounds strange, but that's used in some musical compositions. And the diminished chord would be this. The diminished chord would be. So here are all the chords that are in the C scale. C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. So it'd be. And those are the 7 chords, the diatonic chords in the C scale. Now in the other 11 chords you can play, or the 11 keys besides you can play in, the procedure is the same, except you have to consider the flats and sharps in the different keys to play that particular scale. The Roman numeral designations for this are the Roman numeral symbols for major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, and diminished. So the symbols on a sheet of music will have the Roman numeral symbols to symbolize these particular major and minor chords. So these 7 chords, diatonic chords in the key of C, number 1, G major, symbolized by the Roman numeral 1, and D minor was the second note, E minor is the third, and these symbols apply to the different notes in the diatonic C scale. The fourth one would be F major, F major and G major, and then A minor and diminished. So that's how the 7 notes, diatonic notes in the C scale would be designated on a sheet of music. So I hope in some way this has been benefit to you to describe the diatonic chords of the scale of C scale, and they're called diatonic chords. They're triads, and so if you go through the diatonic scale starting with the key signature, which is C in the key of C, it would be C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. That would be the order, and those are all of the notes, all of the chords that you would use in the key of C for most music. And I hope you've enjoyed this, and this will conclude lesson 3, and I hope that in some way this has been a benefit to you for learning the piano. And I will be coming out soon with lesson number 4, and we'll cover some more theory and basics of how to play the piano. So have a good evening, and we'll be seeing you later.